Good morning, Commodians. In today's quick guide, we're going to show you how to set up an Electrum server for your coin. What the Electrum server does for us is allows light wallets, like Atomic Desktop, to connect to and query a blockchain and broadcast transactions, without needing the user to have to download, synchronize, and maintain a native node of their own. The repository we'll be using for this is under Komodo Platform ElectrumX-1. It's a customized fork of Kubichan's ElectrumX. A link to the companion guide on the Komodo documentation site will be in the description of this video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open up a terminal window, and I've split it into two here just so that I can launch the chain that we want to create the Electrum for and keep an eye on that down the bottom. So if you haven't launched your own chain yet, you can head back to our first video of building your own blockchain in 15 minutes. But if you want to skip that, you can use one of the existing smart chains as long as you've downloaded and synced that locally. So the first step here, just in case the chain isn't running, is I'll set it to run. And because this is my custom chain and there aren't too many nodes running it at the moment, I'll just make sure that I am generating blocks. And now at the top of the terminal window, I'll just copy the first bit in the guide to install those dependencies. Clone the repository, enter its folder, and just install those last few dependencies there. The next thing we need to do is add an entry for our coin in the coins.py file, which is located in the ElectrumX lib folder. Now if we have a look through this file, you'll see a whole bunch of different settings for different coins there. What we want to do is just go right down to the bottom and add an entry for our coin. Don't forget to change the name of the coin. And we'll also need to update the RPC port there to match our coin. And because I just launched my coin, I can see my RPC port there, but you can also get it with the getinfo command. And you see, there we go. So I'll just change the port up in the coins.py file, and we can save and exit that file. Next we'll set up a database folder for our coin. And we need to make sure that we have ownership of that folder. So just use the chown command with your username. Now that we've set up that folder, we can create a configuration file for this instance of Electrum. Refer to the guide on the docs site to get a basic template of these values. There are more optional parameters you can add, and if you're interested, just have a look at the ElectrumX docs there under environment variables. You can see a few are required, and then there's a whole bunch of optional ones: miscellaneous, logging, resource limits, peer discovery, and cache. But for the purposes of this guide, we'll just stick with the basics. So I've copied over the template data there. You'll need to change the coin to the name of your coin, the DB folder to the one that we've just created for your coin, and we'll also need to select a port that we'll be running this server from. So I'm just going to change that to 10,002, and I'll set the RPC to 8001. If you want to run the Electrum with SSL or WebSockets, just refer to the source documentation, and we just add those services to this line on a different port there. Another thing we need to update is the RPC user, password and port, And to get those, we'll just have a look at the conf file of the coin that we created. And we can just copy and paste those values up. And we can save and exit that file. One last thing to do before we launch our Electrum server is we'll configure it as a service. And this way it'll automatically attempt to restart if it crashes or if we reboot the server. The ElectrumX repo has a template file for us, so we can just simply copy that, and we want to copy it over into etc/systemd/system, and we'll call it ElectrumX_yourcoinname.service, and then we will open that file for editing. Now we only need to change 4 lines in this file. First one is the description. We'll just add our coin name to the end there. This is so if we want to run more than one Electrum instance on the same server, we can have a few different files for it. We'll change the environment file to the one that we just created a couple of minutes ago. We want to change the user to our username. And the executable we want to start is within the repository that we cloned. So that'll be under your username. /ElectrumX -1 /ElectrumX server. Save and exit. Start the Electrum, we'll use the system control start command. And we can also check the status here. And you beauty. It's green, it's running, it's ready to go. If you ever need to check the logs of the Electrum server, we can just run the journal control. And just control break to exit that. Right, now that we have confirmed it is running, there's one last check we can do. Now we also want to test this from a different server or from our local computer, just to make sure that the outside world is also able to connect with the Electrum server. And unfortunately it looks like it's going to time out for me here, and that would be because I haven't opened the Electrum port that I set. So I'll just drag this terminal over here for a second and allow the 10,002 port through my firewall. Now if I try this again, and we get a response. So thanks to the great work done by Sippy, setting up our own Electrum server is pretty easy. And this was the final piece of the puzzle we need before we can make a pull request to include our coin in the next version of Atomic Dex Desktop. One thing to be aware of is that for stability, it is recommended to run at least 2 to 3 Electrum servers for your coin, just to make sure that if you need to do any maintenance or one of them goes down, the other 2 are there as backup. If you've got any questions or need some help, just leave them in the comments section, or you can join the Komodo Platform Discord and we'll be happy to assist.